am entropy. I am death. I am dark side.
From the ashes they will rise in a world of dark sides, twisted lies. Absolute DC, we're done this race. With science, breaks the chase. So gather round, hear the call. Diving deep with explore it all. Absolute with science. Absolute with science.
The Elseworld has changed and risen to become the absolute universe. May the presence have mercy on our souls. I'm Superman's AI, Eric Shea.
And I'm Jim Warner.
And this is Absolute Weird Science, Episode 6.
It is. The presents, you mean for like Christmas? That's what you mean for the presents?
Who's getting you presents? What do you know about presents?
Nobody's getting me anything. It is true. Now I'm depressed. I'm not going to get crap. I won't even know it's Christmas. I'll end up waking up and I'll be like, wait a minute, it's the 27th. And I won't have any presents then either. Even though I did get a book sent by Mark Jagger, so I got a present already there. That was nice enough, but that's probably all I'll get. But here we go. We have more Absolute stuff. We have Absolute Superman coming out. It'll round out the second round of these books. And I think that after this, I don't know. I kind of think that you might flip-flop. You might end up having the Superman flip-flop the Wonder Womans after this. I'm still my kind of, as they came out, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. This is a weird one, though, because I wanted more or less Krypton, and we got it. We actually got it, but I don't know. It felt odd. But before we get into this whole deal, I just want to let everybody know that if you enjoy hearing me and Eric here on this here podcast and YouTube video, because we are streaming live on YouTube as we do every Friday night at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. But if you do like that, listen to our main DC Comics podcast. You can check that out. It'll be in the show notes. And if you are actually listening to this, it's very easy to find. It's on the same feed as this one. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But also, if you do like the cut of our jib, you can go over and help us out at our Patreon, patreon.com/weirdscience, where one of the big things we do each week is we have a badass Patreon spotlight where we have 2 books picked by the badasses of the Get Fresh crew. And they ended up picking Two-Face #1, a crazy Christian Ward book, and Poison Ivy #28, a crazy G. Willow Wilson book. And I say crazy because you have Janet and Killer Croc knocking boots in that one. Pretty crazy.
It's crazy about love.
I don't know. Well, it's the crazy little thing called love, I heard. But you can check that out. That was about an hour long. We usually go a little bit longer, but those were really quick books. That Two-Face book, I haven't heard many people talk about it, but I have a feeling that some people will end up digging it, Eric. They're going to end up, somehow they'll put it on their end of year list. It'll be one issue, and it'll be like last year's Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey last year. Everybody had it on their list and nonsense. They'll have it on again, but we're here to talk Absolute DC, Absolute Superman. We'll just get into this. Eric, give us the credits and we'll jump in.
Absolute Superman #2, written by Jason Aaron with art by Rafa Sandoval, Ulysses Areola, and Becca Carey. We start this issue off where we left previously with Agent Lane trying to subdue Superman while he's being chased by the Lazarus Corp after, doing some shenanigans around the Blood Diamond Mine. It's really gotten their freaking nerves up. And so we need to take this meta, this alien, whatever this Superman might be, down. But in the process, Agent Lane is going to cuff herself to Superman, which is going to cause our hero a whole bunch of stress as he tries to leave the scene.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird. Again, these books, when they start out, you need something to kind of push the idea of, I said, how can you push this to other people? How can you explain and stuff? This seems like it's going to be a slow burn. This seems like it'll be another one of those, we're going to have to wait, almost very much like Wonder Woman. Batman comes out, and it's just dump truck out of a out of a freaking building.
Guns a-blazing.
It is guns a-blazing. And some people end up with that were even like, well, it's kind of an odd play and it kind of feels like a parody. A couple people said that to me. But in the meantime, I do agree as well. I will say that I agree with that. But I don't know. There's something cool about that as well. You know what I mean? That's something cool that you can enjoy as well. But this and especially the Wonder Woman, I do think we're going to have to wait a while. We're going to have to wait to see how it plays out, how we end up, going on the idea of, seeing what is going on in the background and stuff like this, because we're seeing bits of Krypton. We see a lot less this issue. This issue is a lot less.
Sadly.
Well, sadly, I actually wanted a little more myself. I mean, I was yelling and screaming last issue that there was too much. This one, maybe a little more, but I think that we're dealing obviously more with Lois and
well,
Cal,
not only that,
but
we're exploring the powers of Superman and what he possesses in this absolute universe.
yeah, the weird play, you're going through Lois and you're really getting the cape. You're getting that cape, and it's not really well played out well either.
No, I agree, it's not.
You know what I mean? Because even when I read it, the first time I read it, I'm like, okay, things are going, you got that. And then the second time reading, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it more. I get the dust. Because I think the reason, and some people might have problems, I know more about that dust cape from news articles and things that were brought out before. I even said to you at one point, oh, he's got this Krypton dust cape or whatever. Not really spelled out great in the issue, but I guess, we see that
well, that's part of the problem, the idea, because you have the absolute Superman here, and he is just like in a form-fitting, like Kryptonian suit without the cape.
Very form-fitting, Eric, I tell you.
But when you have the cape come out, the dust, as they like to call it here, you're just so used to seeing Superman with that big red cape, you barely even flinch at the idea of it, like even being something other than a fabric kind of deal. Or even when you're playing the idea of this Kryptonian material, they're almost playing like when I first read it, and I didn't really get the gist at first because you're just used to seeing that red cape. Almost like the idea that this is a Kryptonian fabric, it's going to block these bullets and do all this amazing things, almost like we had in the New 52 with the idea of how strong his cape was there.
Yeah. And so when you end up having that, we're going to get more. And again, it's going to be one of those, if people end up sticking with it, if they end up going, I hope they do. It's
crazy too, because when you look at Absolute Batman, the crazy thing that Bruce Wayne's cape can do is like entire thing. It becomes almost Spawn-esque with the way like the cloak, it moves around and stuff. And the red dust cloud that he has as his cape, and this is very Spawn-esque as well.
Yeah. And so when it's just odd. It threw me off a bit, but again, I think this issue is one of those weird ones. Mainly because I don't think that it's bad. I just don't think there's much to it. And I think that people, I said it before, I think I even said at the end of our spotlight this week, I don't know that this is an issue that's going to win people over, but if you already like it, I can't see how you'd be upset about it. I just think that it's going to be one of those where we're going to have to just wait and see how it plays out. And there's people who are against Jason Aaron and already see, oh, he's doing this or whatever. I don't see much. That's my biggest problem. I'm still on the fence with this. I know it's 2 issues in, but I kind of wish that I was like, oh man, this is awesome,
Where we take those 3-issue kind of deals, those blocks, to make sure that you really enjoy something, whether you want to keep it or drop it on your pull list. And right now, I don't know who could be reading issue 1 and 2 and be like, yeah, I love this Superman. It's the best Superman I ever read. But it's not a reason to drop it either, because you don't have enough information in my mind to hate it and or love it, or even
that's the problem.
I can't even say like it. I'm intrigued by it because it's the absolute universe Superman, and I want to see where it goes. But right now, I don't know enough.
Yeah. So as we go, I actually think that this is going to be a pretty quick show, unless I go off the rails, Eric, which is very possible. But when you end up starting out, you want to see Krypton, we like to say. I always forget that when we end up saying the Krypton, that's usually with a lot of people that we talk to every day. So this might be a little more expansive. So I'll go Krypton,
fine.
But it makes me laugh.
You make me Superman. It's fine.
I'm telling you, this is the problem: is you have me saying that, and now I can't get away from myself saying Robit. You've ruined me. That's what you did.
Red Tornado.
Robit, Red Tornado. You son of a gun. It's a dinosaur. So when you have Krypton, and
are fun.
The big thing that I ended up saying in the last issue, and what kind of got me a little, got me off, Eric, was the idea that I'm expecting Krypton to blow up. I'm expecting it to not survive. I mean, it kind of already sees that that's it.
Blow up.
So that's where I'm like, okay, well, why are we dealing so much with it? Now, I get it. A lot of people even point out the real reason is because there's no Kents in this. You have to see the influence of Jor-El, Laura, and all that, and even Krypton itself, because Superman Cal is a little older when he goes. Now, this does set this as 6 years in the past. So, again, there's not much time. I think he's been on Earth for a while, but we'll be able to see this as it goes because it does look like we're getting close to the bit where Krypton is going to explode. So what's the play here? Okay, we're going to see that the Science Council, they're jerks. You're going to get little things that I guess...
What do you mean you don't believe that Krypton's going to be destroyed, Science Council?
Yeah.
Laura, set up that spaceship. We're actually out of time. Me being the super scientist Jarrell that I am, I thought we had more time to build a family-sized rocket. We need your prototype child rocket. Send our boy
start
out to
stealing
space.
shit. Let's go.
He ain't even got a place for his dog to send a boy to space, Laura.
This does end up where I think Jason Aaron's one of those guys, and people do get annoyed by him at points, but when he does end up doing something like this, whether or not it's an absolute Elseworlds multiverse deal, he's going to try to play around with the idea of like, why did they build only a rocket for the baby? Why didn't they build it for the rest?
We ran out of time. And this is actually a good explanation.
That's what I'm saying. He's doing it in this way. It reminds me a bit of some of the explanation of, say, a Batman Offworld. That was kind of cool. The idea of how did Batman learn how to deal with aliens? Well, because he got his ass out into space.
So the thing is, that is cool, except for the part where they said it was during Batman's second year that he shot himself off into space, where he fought a warlord alien.
He shot himself off, all right.
Irish mafia, dude.
Yeah, so in the meantime, again,
I like Batman in space learning how to take on aliens because he needs to be like able to take on anything. The explanation we got for him doing it in Batman Offworld wasn't the greatest.
Continuity Kevin over here. We got so again though, it was in a grand scheme of things. You didn't like it because they actually went too specific. If it was just like during a certain time he went off, I'm like, okay, you have to deal with
an alien happened to fall down to Gotham, he got his ass kicked by this said alien who then shot off back to space and smell you later, homeboy. And he decided, I can't take this lying down. I'm going to use Wayne Enterprises money to shoot myself into space and track this dude down. I can see that more than an Irish mafia dude hiring him.
Irish mafia. But and this again, he's explaining why there's only the small. That's why I said you can tell that you're getting very close to Krypton being exploded. But it does. It actually is kind of a cool thing. Now, again, we haven't really seen it. I'm thinking that it's a little bigger than for a baby, so at least they'll be able to fit on it. What I'm worried about.
I would say Laura made this rocket when she was a child who wanted to dream about being an astronaut and blasting off the space.
Probably his age.
The Science Council, exactly around his age. So when
because I think they said when she was 12 is what I think.
Maybe it's even a little snug for him. Who knows? It's going to be a really awful ride to Earth.
That's what I'm getting to. What happens to Krypto? Because we haven't seen Krypto, right?
We have something here that the rocket's big enough for a child, but boy can't even bring his dog to send that boy into space.
I'm hoping that maybe he gets to sit in his lap. We haven't seen Krypto because, so whatever, but I kind of hope that Krypto goes in. I'm going to tell you, Krypton's going to explode. It's going to explode and people are going to get mad. Jason Aaron's a dog killer. Like, there's probably a lot of pets on Krypton.
Superman here has a gigantic chip on his shoulder here on Earth. He's trying to prevent what happened to his parents, what happened to his world, and ultimately what I could see, what happened to his dog. Because if he had his dog with him, that chip on his shoulder wouldn't be as big as it is here.
What happened to his dog? He's with Lois Lane in this. Oh, you meant Krypto. So you end up where Jason Aaron, though, he's going to try to have fun. I don't love this. The idea that they end up assigning homework and you do it, and if you don't use the AI, you're in trouble. I just wonder why the hell they assign homework anyway. Like, why have them do a report when they're just have them read the writings?
They are being assimilated.
No, just read the writings. Yeah, I'm telling you, but Cal himself is not part of the deal. It's just, it's a little kind of on the nose, and then it ties into
It's not exactly
Lois.
on the nose, because the thing is, it's a very double-edged sword, because you have the Society of Krypton forcing its kids to use AI to write their assignments, do their homework and stuff like that. And by the end, you want to say that this is a bad way of doing things, because back on Earth for the Lazarus Corporation, you have Brainiac behind the scenes, which is known as the Brainiac AI, pretty much, telling them to do things that they don't want to do.
I'm saying
it's
on the nose
and bad.
That happens now in the regular world. I mean, you're not allowed to use the AI.
The thing is, it's on the nose. Like I say, it's a double-edged sword, because it's not exactly on the nose in my mind, because I think it's all about how you use it, because on everything else we have Kal-El's soul AI for his suit that seems to be on the up and up. So it all depends on how you use AI for it to be good or bad. I'm guessing that that's a
little bit different. And the idea, I think that Jason Aaron being a writer and these things, and with the artists involved in comics, they are very, very anti-AI of any sort, including songs, Eric. So they
like
shut
anything
their mouths.
else, man, it's a tool. It all depends on how you use it.
But that's what I say. That's exactly a tool, right? So you end up
Yeah.
again. He's like, I wrote it. What? What'd you say? You wrote it? Like, oh my goodness gracious, you better start using that AI. He's like, whatever. And again, we know that the Science Council are kind of jerks. They end up going with whatever we say is the law, and they don't listen to anybody else. So it does end up having that little bit of a, that whole play there. And then at the end, Lois goes, but I do like the idea that what she thinks is the Brainiac AI is him just kind of like he's like Tron in there. And I just like that he's like, yep, terminate. This made me laugh by the end.
Would you say that the Superman, as you call him, what kind of threat level? Well, he's not exactly a threat, but he has a lot of power. So an 8, I got you.
Big threat.
Would you say that he's a threat, needs to be eliminated, or he's okay? Well, he definitely can't be controlled. Got you. Eliminated. Good job, Lois.
Yeah. What gets me, though, Lois better watch your P's and Q's. Also her ass, Eric, because the idea, this is the enemy. I mean, Superman is the enemy here. Boy, she is waxing poetic about it. She's like, he's awesome. And then, the side notes, too. Brainiac's reading those. And I'm like, boy, she's really going to town with the idea of how much she loves him.
Full report.
Holy moly. That's what I'm saying. What is she doing? And again, what we're going to play out. What we're going to do is, in my mind, juxtaposition now with Lois writing the report with Jor-El saying, look, this is what's happened on Krypton. This is the thing. And we're going to get that idea of people who are, too, not open-minded. They don't want to think at least there. And I did have people that in the first issue, people were giving Jason Aaron crap and saying to me like, oh, what do you think? Do you think he's really going heavy on the whole global warming? And I'm like, no, it's Krypton. It's Krypton. Krypton blows up. That's
I'm just
part of
thinking
the
it's
deal.
more about the higher powers exploiting the lower class.
Yeah. But again, it's because when people read something in Jason Aaron, he has a reputation. A lot of people don't like him for a lot of things at Marvel, and they come in looking for things that he might be doing. And I think sometimes you start seeing ghosts, Eric, like you do. I'm very spiritual, though. I'm afraid of ghosts. But even then, I think, again, we're saying all this. This issue's weird because it's okay. There's nothing that horrendous about it. I mean, there's nothing really that much.
Well, you are seeing the reasons why Superman is super, though.
Yeah, I wanted this issue to be that issue where, look, everybody, this is really cool. This is awesome. You're going to like it. You didn't like the first issue. Check this one out. Though I did see some people did like this issue a little bit more. I think just because Krypton or less. But even so, I need something to grab onto.
Superman putting himself into the fray. Nobody knows what he can do with what he can sustain at this point in time. And we don't even know how he has to recharge his solar batteries and how his powers work because they were only slightly charged previously in the previous issue. So we have him going in here saving people because he's trying to stop Lazarus Corp and their hella tanks from firing on him and Lois Lane. So he is chucking cars
hella
at them.
Tanks.
The hella tanks are crashing into civilians. He's doing everything he can with his dust cape and his power suits and all his powers that he has to try to save them, putting himself into the fray. But the biggest detriment I think we have here, well, Lois gets to see it firsthand, to give her the idea that this guy is super. I think having her completely tethered to him the entire time, it throws you off just a little bit because it's preventing him from actually you're seeing what he could do, but not all of it because he's also trying to make sure that she's okay while saving everybody else.
Well, the thing of it though, Eric,
and that's kind of the thing though. It's almost like that is like a customary kind of Superman where Lois Lane's always in danger. He has to make sure that she's safe while saving everybody else.
They're together with the Chuffs, is what they are. That was annoying.
Cuffs.
And then later he's
going to get the language down.
He learns it eventually, and I think that Jason Aaron's just like, yeah, I'm done with that. It really didn't hit. Wasn't Hella Tank a No Doubt song, by the way? You end up, when you're doing this, at the end, the weird thing too is when Lois gives us, you were kind of right. I'll give you credit. You said that you thought an interrogation was going to be more like the Lois on the scene doing the interview. At the end is what she's actually doing. And when she said, I think she goes a little too far, though, because I don't get some of these things where she's like, he's stoic, but he can't. Some of the things she's really jumped into conclusions in my mind, but it was okay. But in the meantime, he just wants to get the hell out of there.
This is a stoic guy, and he doesn't want to talk about himself too much. He tries to put on tough airs. So she's going to
put some flowery language in.
You got to fill in the blanks a little bit, and he keeps talking about your planet. I think this dude's an alien. He keeps saying my planet. But he almost said something else but then we got interrupted. But I think this dude might be an alien.
Like at one point, she was like, I thought it was the suit at first, but I'm like, we don't know. Like, you wouldn't know. But she seems to, be okay with it. I do like the idea that once those chuffs come off, he skedaddles. He's the hell out of there. Yappy.
Well,
I like also
time. His AI soul keeps telling him, you need to get the hell out of here. You need to get the hell out of here right now.
Yeah. And in that, it is kind of funny, actually, the name of it, being the soul, as in sun, but also kind of his soul. It's kind of a neat way that you said it.
Well, this is the last son of Krypton.
Yeah, so you end up where all that going down. Was it a mistake, though, in that when Lois ends up saying, I think I'm going to have to write the report, and that guy's like, what? You hate reports. She's like, yeah, I think you hate them. You're the worst. Don't you think it's a misplay that as he left, she should have yelled out, hey, how do you spell like something? They always go with that. With the misspell. Should have had it.
That plays well in a
I know. It would have been funny. It would have been funny, though, for her to say that. And actually, that would have shown that she doesn't write many reports, because he could have said, there's autocorrect, idiot.
Grown up in a world
autocorrect, idiot.
With computers her entire life.
She don't like the written word, Eric. This is the devil. But yeah, so with the powers that we get in this, we know that he flies already. We're getting a lot of cape. We're getting a lot of dust cape. And
a lot of dust cape.
In that, I wish it would have been...
Cloak.
I mean, usually what you have then with the AI, because you do have him yelling to Soul, the AI, like, hey, make sure she's not hurt. Make sure this, whatever. Usually when this happens, the AI will respond to things like, well, obviously it's a dust cape and give us info. You don't really get much info. Yeah, you didn't get much info on it. And I think that even at this point, I don't really know what it does. So in my mind, it's more of a Deus Machina, where he's even spreading it on people. He's putting it all over their face, like, hey, this will heal you. I'm like, this dust is pretty damn
Look
good.
At this alien messiah.
This damn dust is pretty damn good. So I wanted to have it a little more defined, so I know that it's not just going to be the MacGuffin. MacGuffin's like anything that happens, dust cape. Oh my God, I sprained my ankle, dust cape. I'm hungry,
well, that's
dust
the thing
cape.
Is, it might work along the lines as the Green Lantern ring used to. Like, we used to do it all the time back in the day before Kyle.
But you can paint the room yellow and then you're screwed.
No, nothing like that at all. Calm down. You have the 24-hour charge on your ring. So when you run out of that 24-hour charge, then you're screwed. So maybe it's along the lines of, him having to charge up his suit for anything like this to work.
Well, you say that. I mean, whether or not nighttime, daytime, whatever, Holiday Inn, you end up where in that last issue, he did have to go in that chamber and he was recharging, and they ended up coming in and getting him out. So something is a little bit different than just, hanging out in the sunshine and things like that. So that might be something that would play.
Yeah, a whole generator solar setup.
I think you do need something to limit it a little. I mean, you can't just go and run rampant with this. It's like anything that happens, dust cape. I hate saying dust cape.
And now I
too.
cure the people.
Dust cape.
Let them have dust.
So when you have this again, there's not much else going on except that, again, Lois is right there. I'll just talk about Lois for a little bit. The idea, is she deaf? Does she have a hearing problem? Because at the one point, she has to hear the Lazarus, the Peacekeepers say, light her up. I mean, at one point, they're like, hey, are we going to shoot
She knew what the job entailed.
I guess she just goes with it. I mean, I guess she's fine with the idea that if you get tangled up with the chops.
But if you do it one more time, guys, we're really pissed off.
It
3 times
weird.
the limit where you try to light my ass up with the alien.
And so when they're saying, they're saying it right next to her. They're yelling, hey, we're... Even at the one point, she also sees how bad they are. Because they do end up saying, hey, what did he say? I think he said he's going to hurt her. I'm like, oh, here we go. And she's just kind of like oblivious. She doesn't hear the order.
Well, no, the thing is, she flips it around because the only reason that she's in danger is because he's resisting arrest.
She says that, but you
stop resisting. I won't be in danger, alien. You
still hear them say, I just heard him. He threatened to kill her. And what? Like, she doesn't even respond. Like, no, he didn't. Like, that whole thing. But you end up where he does end up saving her. And like you said, when he says, thank you, what about thanking me? I saved you. And she says, well, you wouldn't have had to save me if you would have just come with us. And even says to him at one point, they want to take you peacefully. They don't want to kill you. So why are you doing this? I don't know, Lois. Maybe you don't want to be arrested for stuff. You don't want to be thrown in jail.
The cuffs that she uses on Kal-El in this are really interesting because I want to know what Lazarus Corp's all about besides for, mining blood diamonds and disrespecting the lower class and pretty much living off of their blood. Because they have these cuffs that are able to restrict Kal-El and keep it on her, and even like the soul suit and the dust trying to work its way through this and break it, it keeps emerging itself every time this breaks through. So this is something, if Superman's not charged up, will be able to restrain him easily.
Yeah. So again, that actually is I'm glad you brought that up because the idea
It's like a kryptonite.
Yeah, and so with the idea of and I did see some people saying the idea of dust cape, things like that, it's way too powerful. But in fact, they do have something that can restrain him. I don't know if it's one of those once he learns what it was, but it does take, it's a living metal type deal. And there was mentions before of different tech and things by the Lazarus.
One day it'll become an absolute metal man.
Yeah, maybe. I believe that would
Where's
be
that absolute response?
I believe that would be Mercury. Because I see that it is liquid at room temperature. You have where before we had the mention, Soul even I think said, some of their tech or whatever was otherworldly. It wasn't, from just this planet.
Right.
And so when Lois
they seem to have like a red room at like a Star Labs for all the
exactly.
alien tech that they've collected.
Yeah, and so they have that, and in the meantime, then Lois and I like to the interaction between Soul and Superman. I like Skeets. I mean, you said it earlier. Like, it's not quite like that. It's not but it does protect him at some points in this. You do
it's
see
like
Cal is
a more personal Kalex.
Yeah, Cal is he's not real seasoned of what he should say and shouldn't say, and he starts talking about the idea. It seems like he's a little smitten with old Lois Lane. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, your planet. And then she's like, your planet.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's like, we had a secret at one point there, Cal. But he ends up, he's got to watch himself. So you see that he's not real, like I said, he's not real seasoned with dealing with anything like this. He's kind of been going around helping some people. I'm sure that in his mind, it's, hey, if I help people, I won't get in trouble. Then he runs into Lazarus, and there's, a little bit more going on. He's obviously against it and even says to Lois, and again, this is where I thought that there was a little misplay because Lois does seem like the idea that you have Lois in this organization, you want to think, she doesn't know everything about this. But I don't know. But she does.
She does. I feel like we're going to have a situation where instead of she becoming a reporter like in our universe, going from the long lines of like a General Sam Lane, she was an army brat that joined up and stuff like that. I don't know what
I have a feeling
the military has to do with the Lazarus Corp, but it seems like it's something very adjacent.
I have a feeling that she's going to end up where it's going to be, I'll point out this issue when it does, if it does happen, the idea she's going to say, oh my God, they're bad, because she even says at one point she seems almost confused why Cal's like, she's like, don't worry, they weren't going to kill you, like, you just whatever. And he's like, you really think that Lazarus cares about the people? Like, she seems to think they do almost. And yet she heard them like just say for her to die, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's a living.
And I I like the idea that at the end when she's doing the report, she just thinks the AI's wonky. She doesn't know that Brainiac is just in there like AI. Changing things. Yeah. So even that seems very nefarious. It seems very much like hey, he just showed a gun. Oh my God, I heard him say that he was going to kill her, which he never said. And now the AI's doing it. And she just seems a blip. The idea that she writes up a report about how great this guy is kind of makes me think that she thinks they're on the up and up. And I
Lois Lane, president of the Superman fan club.
Yeah, exactly.
#1.
Oh my God, and he smells like bourbon. I was like, what is he, a drunk? So in that though, he
smelled like a lot of things that came to a very pleasant smell.
When she ends up saying that, I'm like, what she's saying is, it sounds like she's saying a lot of rotten shit. Like it's in a musty thing. I'm like, oh God, yeah, really? Breathe on me. You end up where this going down, though. I do think that Lois might think they're on the up and up. It might be a weird play, but again, people who ended up reading Batman or the Wonder Woman, like some people are saying, I can't read that Wonder Woman. I hate it because she's in hell. But it's not. It's a different Wonder Woman.
It's not.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Fine.
So,
it's an alternate universe. That's like looking at Gotham. I guess I can't read this Batman. It's in the 1800s.
This Batman talks too old schooly for me. Though I still think, and that's where I'm going with the idea.
This is a world
I'm falling for it.
Risen by Darkseid.
I'm telling you, I'm falling for it because I'm saying to you, I don't think he'll have Lois be bad. But he could. Like you said, she can
do anything,
and then learns her ways. But this is the way that she she plays out, she seems very naive. She seems like she's really not paying attention to what Lazarus is doing. So even when they start saving people, she almost plays it out like, oh, yeah, this is what Lazarus does as well. Not like, oh, my God, if somebody sees me doing this with you.
Nazi Lois just following orders.
You know what I mean,
she's
though?
Not good.
I'm saying, though, when she does this, she's not even saying like, ooh, like, I got to get the hell out. I can't be seen saving people with you. I'll get in trouble. She seems like she's like, yeah, this is what we do. And then when she reports on it, almost as if, listen, you guys think he's bad, but we were doing some shit and he was saving people. It's awesome. They don't think it's awesome. And we see, even when we go to the higher ups, when they end up saying, yeah, what we're going to do might end up killing Lois, not by name, but the agent. And they're like, yeah, well, I like that too. They're like, this could kill Agent Lane. And like, all right, buddy. And they go to do it.
Anything for peace, man. It's written on all their artillery.
Yeah, it is. Also, they want to know how their driving is. That's a lame. I guess it works. But again, they end up saving a bunch of people. It's very quick. It's actually, if you want to do anything and say anything, a lot of people will get mad that things decompress, the idea of writing for the trade. While not a ton overall happens, the things that do happen, I think, might go a little too quick. I mean, they are then saving people within a second. The dust cape is saved. I almost want to settle down a little and, get some more info by the end. But then, yeah, she kind of keeps talking. He's opening up a bit. I mean, that's the other thing, too. She's showing that she is a pretty good interrogator / maybe even investigative reporter as she's having him open up with. And I don't think that she's trying to manipulate him at all. She's very interested. Once things start going, she seems very interested. And it's true. Any woman
strippers don't care about you either.
Shows me interest. They don't? You mean that stripper isn't going to marry me? Oh, my goodness gracious. So, yeah, and not even that. They would never go that far because then that might turn people off. You're my favorite. No,
the worst thing that happened to me is I was sitting at a bar doing a buddy's birthday party. It was like a strip bar, and we had this one dancer who came around. She wanted to tell me how she came back as a special favor to the owner. She hadn't been there for a while, and then sat down and started telling me her life story. I'm like, I don't care.
At one point, I went to a bachelor party, and we really went. Well, first up to tell you, we were in New Jersey, Eric, so there was trouble. We were at this place called the Admiral. Not the greatest of strip clubs. And in that, me and my buddy Pete, we were watching playoff hockey. It was our one buddy's, bachelor party. And we were all over the place. And this one stripper, boy, she got mad at me and Pete for not paying. Like, she's trying to get involved. I'm like, you're getting in the way. They don't like that, Eric. They don't like that. But I didn't really want to be there. To be quite honest, nope. I go through a weird range of emotions. You go to a strip club, and I'm like, oh man, and I'm like, oh man, first off, I end up where I go, and I'm like, I get mad that these women, this is a shame, whatever. By halfway through, I'm like, these bitches are just stealing money from these poor guys.
Awful emotions.
It's a roller coaster ride of emotions. By the end, I'm so angry that these crazy, lonely guys are there like, I'm her favorite. That's me, Eric. That's how I get mad. Where did Onyx go? It's at the end. Sapphire, where are you? But yeah, we have all this thing going on. And back to my favorite stripper, Lois. She ends up going, and Superman, the minute that Superman ends up being able to get free and clear, the chuffs come off and he is out. I mean, he does not waste a minute, and it made me laugh. He ended up bolting like those strippers do when the lights come on. And so she ends up there.
Maybe Superman should have stayed behind, because as he moves his way into Venezuela trying to find out that the people in Brazil are going to face the wrath of the Lazarus intervening, because now the Peacemakers pissed off. He's like, all these people, they know where he is. They're hiding him, and we got to show them what happens when they do that. And then blam, blam, blam. Just start killing people left and right because not Clark Kent, absolute Superman, he done got away.
Yeah, and he gets away. Lois goes to make the report. I don't know that I love that they're already calling him Superman, but that's fine. And then that one guy, I didn't even get the guy's like, man, he looked at us and it's like we were in tinfoil in a microwave. I'm like, did he do that? Because he just kind of seemed like he was just kind of standing around at one point. It was a bit of a disconnect. I thought he just got the guns or something the last time, but he's like, it sucked. I don't know. Somebody should have said, you ever been in a microwave? Dude, it's like, but what do you do on the weekends? But this guy,
imagine.
And this guy is kind of like, you see that these Lazarus agents, they might not be the biggest of a psychological, profile that they go through before. This guy's talking to himself. Like he's like, Lazarus means like Lazarus. And then he just blam, like you said. So it does suck. But
members we need for our Lazarus Corp.
Yeah. So with that, though, Lois, I think, stepped over the bounds a little with this report. I think that they're going to worry about her, or they're going to they'll probably use her. They'll probably see, okay, maybe this will be the end. Maybe the Superman is kind of enamored. Exactly, like Jimmy, the man of action, Eric. So, yeah, and then we go to the end then when we do see on Krypton, and you even do see like the AI kind of deal in that as you have Laura looking at the spaceship, they start looking at stuff and they start talking about, hey, you have the spaceship as a kid, I can steal the sunstones. Like, look at you, Jesse James.
I'm going to steal so many sunstones.
The worst of it is, though, is again, Jor-El, get off your nice horse here. The Science Council cares nothing about you. And he's like, well, go to the Science Council. We'll talk to them. And Laura's like, we ain't talking to nobody. Like, they're not going to listen. He's like, well, maybe they will. They're people of science. They follow the facts.
People have beliefs that they've been brought up their entire life.
He shouldn't have been. That. He has been broken time and time again. He's doing these minds things. He almost just died because of it. But Laura's just, Laura's the cynic of them. That's where Superman got the cynicism.
I'm going to be an astronaut.
Oh, my goodness.
Laura, you're going to be an astronaut.
Yeah, you're going to be an astronaut. She's like, oh, here's with the babies. I actually wanted to see, you kind of see a little bit deal, but I wanted to see how big it was because I'm worried. I think that one of the plays is by the end. I think you're supposed to be a little worried about Krypto because there he is playing with him. Yeah, look at it. First off, that tongue hanging out, it's got some problems, Eric. So maybe it's good. Maybe it's good to put it down.
It's got some problems. It's a dog.
I'm telling you, like it's hanging out too loose, and I think he's got a couple screws loose is what happens. But then you end up having Superman as he walks, and you see, Venezuela. Like you said, Lazarus means death. Join the Omega Men. That's kind of a crazy
and that's a huge little thing right there.
Yeah.
The Omega Men right there, like you have an idea of what the Omega Men are for what your beliefs are, or beliefs for your knowledge is of the DC universe, but with Darkseid being the one in control of this universe, at least the one who made it, Omega means something completely different in this universe.
Yeah, it could be some crazy like cult. It could be like a church of Omega. We'll have to see. It's kind of neat though. It's kind of cool. But again, at the end of this, I wanted a little more. This doesn't discourage me from my. I'm pretty much the same score as last time, even though I did get
as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there wasn't enough here for me to say, "Oh my God, this is so much better," but it's not worse. So it's kind of there.
Actually, the thing is, I could use some more Krypton and the little Krypton we got, but I was really like, just kind of disappointed with the present day stuff on Earth previously, but I like where we're going with this. We're seeing what Superman can do, the type of person Superman is here, and just the idea of what Superman will do, knowing that these people are being killed in the wake of his goodness.
Yeah.
There's things here that really want me to keep going with this journey, whether I'm indifferent about it at this point in time because I feel like I don't know enough, but it's still doing enough to keep me like, yeah, let's see what this absolute Superman's got and how absolute Lois Lane's going to deal with this shit.
And again, me and you are going to be in anyway. We're doing this.
Absolutely.
We do all the stuff. I talk a big game a lot of times where I'm like, I'm done with this book. I know we're talking about it the next time it comes out and that sort of thing. But in the meantime, my big play here isn't me. It's I'm more of a caring guy, Eric. I'm a giving person.
Oh, yeah?
Yes,
Tell
I
me
am.
about those dancers more.
I give really. I give them, I make it hail. I throw quarters at them, Eric. But you end up where all this going on, I still end up worried. I still end up wondering what's the rub here? Where is it? If you're a comic store owner or you have a friend who says, what are these absolute power books like? Absolute power, absolute DC stuff. Which one should I get? Whatever. The only one that I think that you have to play.
I'm saying, the thing is, anybody who says this to a comic store owner, you just gotta be like, you gotta be like DC and be all in.
Well, I'm not talking about the idea that you're trying to finagle them to buy more. I'm hoping you have some.
That's what I'm doing. I'm a businessman.
Yeah. Oh, you're a businessman. You're like, what books are good? All of them. Or the person's like, what should I get?
In, so are you.
What should I get? Should I get the absolute stuff, the all-in stuff, or should I get Marvel? Yes. That's how you answer. Yes. So, but not that Marvel. A little shady act. But so the Wonder Woman, again, when you say it, the Wonder Woman deal is, get this. She's from hell and she has magic Cersei, but not everybody does. So that's weird. This one, though, this book is weird. Like, hey, what's different? Well, he's got a dust cape. Well, what is that?
Well, Superman is a man who has to learn to hope, because right now for this absolute universe of the Omega Earth, yes, he is a man who has come here, didn't spend his whole life here, wasn't raised by the Kents. He has little to no hope and is trying to do his best to make sure that what happened to his planet doesn't happen here.
I was going to say so. Hey, what's up with the Superman? This is a Superman that needs to learn how to hope. They're like, okay, whatever. I was going to be hateful. I just happened to think more. The guy's like, the hell is this guy talking about? Look at the hippie over here. Summer of Love, Eric Shea.
That's what you get from a Superman that like pretty much came here as an adult.
Well, yeah, and not really an adult. I think he came here as just a young teen.
I'm saying when he was a teenager, he was like, the planet was about to be destroyed. They were already working on the rocket. Obviously, they didn't have enough time to build the family-sized rocket. And then coming to here, he has been here for a little while. He looks like he's about 19, 20 years old, maybe 21. See,
but I think he's been here a couple of years. And so I think he came here like 17, 18, somewhere around there. That would be.
Okay, I'm saying you're an adult at that point.
No adult. On Krypton, you're not an adult until you're 40. I don't know if you know that or not.
I don't.
Drinking age on Krypton's 130. They frown upon it. You never get your license because then you want to fly in space like Laura. You don't need that shit. So you end up because they have flying cars, but they with this though, again, I just hope people will end up having, the patience for it, because I think this book's going to need a little more patience than some of the others. But
I agree.
Yeah. What would you give it though?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I think the art's fantastic, and there's a few takes on here. Like, the AI thing's a little weird, because I'm telling you, you want to say in this that AI is bad from what you see with Brainiac, what you see with the Society of Krypton from when Kal-El was a boy, but with the AI of Soul being his, like, the primary power of his suit, I'm like, that's a good thing. So it's a weird little take on how. Or is it? Again,
maybe
it
it's
could
not.
go either way.
And it's
but
just
right
a
now,
weird
Soul
play.
Seems like it's on the up and up.
The weird thing about it is, if I said to somebody, not everybody, but if I said even in the chat, as we're doing this live, and I said, okay, tell me the times that AI is in this issue. Most people would say, at the beginning with Cal and at the end with Lois. A lot of times now, because that's that kind of AI that is very prevalent now for everything we do. And if you have kids, it's really prevalent, because it is one of those things. Kids use it, but then you got to go through those other websites, Eric, that will like make it jumbled up a bit and not feel like it's a.
Just write the report,
again,
damn.
And then you get the AI of Soul, that's typical comic booky AI that I think that people would not really think of it as, but you're right. And so is that going to be the play and
it just feels like the idea where people will focus on AI bad, when I think it's all more about AI as a tool. It all depends on how you use it.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it was weird.
Or how it uses you.
Well, and that's what this is. I think that he's going full out, like AI is for the brainless and it'll skew you this way or that. Again, I think that the AI of Soul is kind of a separate kind of deal, but it isn't. I mean, you're right. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what Jason Aaron does. But again,
with all of that, I enjoyed the action portions of the main present day stuff. I just wish it was better paced out, because I'm telling you, I had to read it a few times to get the idea of the Superman cape. That's just on me for my bias of reading Superman my entire life. Seeing that big red cape, that just meant Superman to me. Just realizing what it was, it just took a little bit more for my brain to sink into the absolute Superman aspect of it. I just wish it was slowed down a little bit and Lois wasn't tethered to him, but it's still a fun issue that I think explores this character better than we had in the previous issue.
Yeah. I just need more. I need more. I want to see a definitive, but again, you're playing the idea he doesn't even know a lot of the strength of his powers or how his powers are working. Yeah. So we'll have to see.
And we're not even seeing it, because it's only like at a quarter of his own power from the way he was charged in the previous issue.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. But what would your score be?
I said 7 out of 10.
Okay, you did. See, I think I went 6 out of 10 last issue, and I'm a 7 or a 6.5. I mean, so I am a little bit. I think I can't remember, Eric. I can't remember what I gave last issue, but I think it was a 6. I'm going to go up a little bit. I think that it's becoming more interesting to me. Again, there was a lot of Krypton going into the mines and things. I get it. You want to show what made Superman and what is, makes Kal-El tick. But still, I thought it was a little bit overdone. This issue has a little bit more, but I want it more. So that means something. I mean, I do want more, so I must be interested, and I'm kind of intrigued by some of the things. So I'm going to give it a 6.5, and maybe my score will keep going up, Eric.
Hopefully.
That's what we hope to have. So with all that, that is it for the show. About the same amount of time that we have. Batman ends up, I don't know what happens with that Batman. We end up talking about an hour and a half each time.
It's Batman.
Because it's Batman, but it's also like he's got dump trucks that we got to figure out and all that other stuff.
All right, we got to talk about the gigantic bat construction vehicle hidden underneath the building's foundation for about 10 minutes.
Again, it's so ridiculous, but that is something to point out to people like, oh, you want a big bat dump truck.
Sadly, you can't talk about
ridiculous.
red dust in the same amount of length.
No, I end up doing that.
It's bulletproof and it heals people.
I'm like, it's awesome.
Who knows what else it can do?
It has this dust. Next thing I know, I'm getting arrested, Eric. You know, I've got the dust. Beastie Boys used to rap about the dust.
You had no idea what they were rapping about.
I did. At that point, I'm like, man, they should clean up. They end up having all this dust.
Mama, did you hear the Beastie Boys got the dust buddies?
I think it's too.
Just like us.
The biggest song that I think, and if I remember, was "She's Crafty." That they talk about this girl. She's on the dust. I'm like, well, what's she doing? Like sniffing the dust and the dust buddies? Like you said, I didn't know what was happening. Those Beastie Boys, weren't they good boys? But that is it. That is it for this week. So we'll be going again when we end up doing this. We do it live on YouTube. If you want to get involved, we do it live at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time is when we kick off the whole proceedings, and we go as long as there's no set time. Whatever it is what it does. And yeah, you can join us. And in that, we're getting a little better at talking to people and answering while we are recording as well.
One day we'll be good with pictures too, huh?
Yeah, I didn't even bother. I'm telling you, I'm such a moron. This is why I didn't bother. But we may go out with a Christmas song, though, Eric, that much to your chagrin. But
why?
Well, because it's the holiday season and everybody's in the giving mood. So, but again, if you end up wanting to get involved, you can go to the description, the show notes. All that will be a link to our YouTube channel. Hopefully people will subscribe. And then when the show pops up, you'll be, what is that called? Notified. You get notified some things, but that's to be on a list. But with all of that, we're done. The list of my favorite people is the list that you're always on, Eric. But that's it, Eric. Let me know what we say at the end of this podcast.
We're closing the Omega Portal, and until next time, keep it absolutely weird.
As a kid, I never believed in Santa Claus, but that all changed last year, and it was all because I finally saw him with my own two eyes. So you can just imagine my big surprise when Santa came down my chimney and he swept me off my feet. When Santa came down my chimney and he gave me a Christmas treat, I grabbed his Yule log and licked his candy cane. Christmas will never be the same. Didn't know what to think right away. Before I knew it, we were laying in his sleigh. On my face he spread his Christmas cheer. Believe me, Santa comes more than once a year. When Santa came down my chimney and he swept me off my feet. When Santa came down my chimney and he gave me a Christmas treat, I grabbed his Yule log and licked his candy cane. Christmas will never be the same. Santa kissed me underneath the mistletoe, but for the life of me, I don't know how it got that low. The things he did I couldn't quite resist, but afterward we were both on the naughty list. When Santa came down my chimney and he swept me off my feet. When Santa came down my chimney and he gave me a Christmas treat, I grabbed his Yule log and licked his candy cane. Christmas will never be the same. Christmas will never be the same.
Ah, yes. There you go, Eric. There you go. I have like 80 things I have to unmute to talk. We're still on, though. We're still on YouTube. But thanks, everybody. I got to get going. I got to drive to Allentown. Old A-Town, as Eric used to call it back in the day.
I don't think I ever did that.
Didn't you ever call it A-Town back in the day? You were your A-Town.
I had time to say Allen.
Yeah. Sometimes they do this like weird things, like it makes it more of a pain to talk about something than the actual when they try to shorten it. But Fear Monarchist reminded me to shut down the stream eventually. But yeah, I figured that we'd say goodbye. I have the thing. At least I got that now. I actually have the software deal, though I was getting an error throughout. And I at one point at the beginning, I was so distracted because I was trying to figure out how to actually change. It said that the resolution for some reason was way too high. I don't know why.
You had that previously too.
Now, before it was that, it was actually telling me that it was using too much of a like it was like a energy sink. This was just something with, I think the picture when I put it, I think I messed up the picture again. I think that the picture itself might have been the deal or something, but it didn't matter. If we had more motion or something, you did start cutting out at one point for a little, but it was it won't be a problem on the recording, but it might have been a little choppy. It was just like for like a 2-minute span. But thanks everybody for jumping in, and we'll keep doing this. I actually was going to look. I didn't look to see if we had a book next week. I got to start remembering to check that so we can. I don't think we do either, but if we do, it'll be the Batmans, but we'll see.
Well, if we do, it'll probably, I'm saying the Wally West is going to come up soon, the Flash.
Yeah, the Flash. Is that in December? I thought that was a little later.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll have to see. But you can tell me.
I'm going to tell you as soon as I figure out what it is.
Absolute Flash.
This does not want to tell me a freaking
all right, well, we'll see.
Date for it.
We shall see.
Oh, no, that releases March 5th, it says.
Yeah, okay, so it's a while. I thought some of
it is a while. I thought it was way sooner.
Yeah, so we will see. But that's it. That is it. I'm going to head off.
When's Absolute Martian Manhunter come out?
Yeah, with Dennis
March
Camp.
as well, sadly.
Yeah, sadly. That looks so great. But we will see. Yep, Vermonic said it's in March. Yeah, it seems like that second round are coming out then. We'll see how it is. But that is it. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Eric Shea. Once again, you're on my list, but I'm going to get going. I have to go to A-Town. A-Town.
Okay.
I also want to get, I actually also think I'm going to have to get gas because I'm going to get in the car and it's going to get me so angry. I'm going to yell at Ray. But I will talk to everybody. Talk to you later. So thanks, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
And we'll talk to you.